Princess Anne, the only daughter of the late Queen Elizabeth II, has reportedly issued a heartfelt and direct warning to her brother, King Charles, following her profound disappointment with Queen Consort Camilla's controversial decision to sell a portion of the late Queen's cherished inheritance. This move has sent shockwaves through the royal family, igniting passionate debates about the preservation of Queen Elizabeth's legacy. According to multiple insider sources, the decision to auction off some of the late Queen's most beloved horses has sparked widespread discontent among members of the royal household, and it is now at the heart of a growing royal crisis. These horses were not just animals to the late Queen, they were treasured symbols of her reign and personal passion. To those who knew and revered Queen Elizabeth, the horses stood as living embodiments of her commitment to British tradition, her discipline, and her unparalleled dedication to the crown. They were more than just possessions, they were part of her very identity. The late monarch had been deeply involved in every aspect of the breeding, training, and care of her horses, developing an unparalleled expertise in equestrianism over her 7-decade reign. To some, the sale of these animals is seen as an affront to her memory and a betrayal of the royal family's heritage. Princess Anne, renowned for her steadfast dedication to royal duties and traditions, has emerged as a vocal and passionate opponent of the sale. According to sources close to the Princess Royal, she views the decision to sell the horses as a direct affront to her mother's memory and values. Anne's own lifelong love for equestrian pursuits mirrors that of Queen Elizabeth, making her particularly sensitive to this decision. As an accomplished equestrian in her own right, Anne has long shared her mother's passion for horses and has been deeply involved in equestrian events throughout her life. Insiders suggest that Princess Anne has privately confronted King Charles, urging him to reconsider the sale of the horses and warning him about the broader implications such a decision could have on the monarchy's reputation and public image. Anne's cautionary remarks are not only about preserving her mother's legacy but also about the importance of maintaining the symbols that have defined the royal family for generations. Her argument centers on the idea that the royal family must continue to honor the traditions and values that have been passed down through the centuries. Horses were an integral part of Queen Elizabeth's life from an early age. At the age of 4, she received her first pony, Peggy, as a gift from her grandfather, King George V. Her passion for equestrianism only deepened over the decades, and by the time she ascended the throne, she had become one of the world's most respected authorities on horses and horse breeding. The Queen's involvement with her horses was not just a personal hobby, it was a reflection of her deep connection to British tradition and her sense of duty as monarch. For Queen Elizabeth, horses were far more than just pets. They were a vital part of her royal duties, participating in important state events and royal ceremonies. The Queen's horses were frequently seen at Trooping the Colour, the state opening of Parliament, and other significant royal occasions. These horses, often carefully selected and bred under the Queen's supervision, became iconic symbols of her reign. To sell them now is seen by some as an erasure of an important part of the Queen's legacy. The horses in question were not just prized possessions, they were integral to the royal family's image and public persona. They represented continuity, tradition, and a connection to the monarchy's past. Their sale, especially so soon after the Queen's passing, has raised questions about whether the royal family is willing to abandon these symbols of tradition in favor of more practical, financial concerns. Critics argue that the timing of the sale, so close to Queen Elizabeth's death, suggests a lack of respect for the Queen's wishes and a failure to understand the deep emotional attachment the British public and royal family members have to these animals. Queen Consort Camilla's decision to auction off more than a dozen of Queen Elizabeth's horses, including 2 that held significant sentimental value to the late monarch, has been met with strong criticism. Some palace insiders have described the sale as a short-sighted cash grab, while others argue that it represents a failure to preserve the legacy of the Queen's equestrian passion. Camilla reportedly views the horses as relics of a bygone era, symbols of a time before her own ascension to the role of Queen Consort. She has been said to see the sale as a way to move the royal family forward and rid itself of unnecessary burdens. However, many critics, including Princess and, argue that this perspective fails to recognize the profound connection between Queen Elizabeth and her horses. To them, these animals represent more than just assets. They are living symbols of the Queen's lifelong dedication to tradition and her personal love for horses. Their sale is seen as an act of historical erasure, an attempt to sever the royal family's ties to its past in favor of financial pragmatism. Some royal watchers have speculated that Camilla's decision to sell the horses was motivated by a desire to ease the financial burdens of the royal family. The costs associated with maintaining such a large number of horses, including their upkeep, training, and care, are substantial. In this context, Camilla's decision may have been framed as a practical necessity, one that takes into account the financial challenges facing the monarchy. However, critics argue that this rationale overlooks the symbolic value of the horses, which far exceeds their monetary worth. Tensions within the royal family, a strained relationship between Charles and Anne. King Charles's support for Camilla's decision has only served to further strain relationships within the royal family. While Charles shares his mother's appreciation for horses, his endorsement of the sale suggests that he is willing to prioritize financial and logistical considerations over tradition and sentimentality. Camilla is said to have persuaded Charles by emphasizing the high costs and challenges of maintaining the horses, framing the sale as a necessary step in modernizing the royal family's approach to its assets. However, Princess Anne and other close members of the royal family have expressed strong disapproval of this rationale. Anne, in particular, believes that the symbolic value of the horses far outweighs any financial or logistical considerations. For her, the horses represent an irreplaceable part of her mother's legacy, and their sale is a deeply personal betrayal. Anne's strong stance on the issue has raised questions about the future of the monarchy and whether the royal family is prepared to make the difficult choices necessary to preserve its legacy. The controversy surrounding the sale of Queen Elizabeth's horses reflects a deeper struggle for legacy within the royal family. Princess Anne, with her deep respect for tradition and her close relationship with her mother, views the horses as a vital link to the past, a connection that must be preserved for future generations. For Camilla, the horses represent a practical burden, one that must be dealt with in order to move forward. This conflict underscores a broader tension within the royal family as it grapples with its future. As the monarchy moves into a new era under King Charles's leadership, decisions like these will shape its direction. The royal family must navigate the delicate balance between honoring the past and embracing the future. The sale of Queen Elizabeth's horses may be just the beginning of a series of difficult decisions that will test the monarchy's ability to adapt while preserving its core values. As the debate continues to unfold, the royal family finds itself at a crossroads. The preservation of Queen Elizabeth's legacy, particularly in the form of her beloved horses, will be a defining issue in the years to come. Whether the royal family can reconcile the past with the demands of the present remains to be seen. For now, the controversy over the horses serves as a stark reminder of the challenges facing the monarchy in a rapidly changing world.